Welcome to Newark, Ohio. Just off of Interstate 70 is a middling town with its own mall, the Indian Mound Mall, which appears to share its roots with the River Valley Mall. Is it doing any better than River Valley? Well, let's step inside and find out. Indian Mound Mall would get its start in October 23, 1986, with its only competition being the downtown arcade mall. Original anchors would include Elder-Beerman, JCPenney, Lazarus, and Hills. As a Glimcher Realty original, the mall boasted a unique aesthetic featuring a maroon color scheme to offset the white that dominated the mall. Indian Mound Mall proved to be a popular destination and would gain a couple expansions over the years. The first would be a 6-screen cinema under Crown Cinema in 1988, and in 1997, the theater would expand from 6 to 11 screens and would get rebranded as Hollywood Cinemas. That same year, Sears would join the fold. Even Elder-Beerman was on track to expand their store in 1998. And, on top of that, the surrounding area was starting to build up as a retail corridor for the area of Heath and Newark. Columbus didn't seem to matter as a nearby competitor for the town. In 1999, Hills would get acquired and vored by Ames, and this victim proved to be too poisonous to consume. For context, Hills was already struggling at the time and was performing rather poorly. Despite recovering from a previous poisonous acquisition and remaining profitable, Ames couldn't keep up with taking over Hills' ailing operations and was forced to liquidate all assets in 2002. Assets that still float around in derelict corners to this day. Had Ames not made such a bad corporate move, we might still have seen them today standing up against Walmart, Gabe's, and even Rose's, even if it would remain a regional niche in the Northeast. Breaking off for a moment, we're about to get a look at the mall's food court, which was packed to the brim back in its heyday. Now, current management has made an effort to keep the space lively with some recreational activities, but just about all of these temporary walls had food court tenants once upon a time. There are still a couple food tenants today, but it is a sad shell of its former self. But it's still more occupied than River Valley Mall, I'll give it that. While a vacant anchor is never a good thing, Indian Mound Mall remained a popular destination, and Glimcher Realty was not about to go down without a fight. Steve and Barry's would settle into the vacant Ames in 2004. Meanwhile, Lazarus would unexpectedly close in 2004, escaping the great Macy's merge in 2006. The closed Lazarus would get filled in by a Goodies. Unfortunately, Goodies would close in 2008, followed by Steve and Barry's in 2009. The former Goodies and Lazarus space would at least get gutted and reconfigured for Dick's Sporting Goods in 2011. However, the former Steve and Barry's would remain empty for quite a while, before a furniture store called Big Sandy came in 2017. At least the theater remained open, being rebranded as AMC and getting a needed renovation in 2016. Elder-Beerman would unfortunately close in 2018 when its parent company, Bon-Ton, was forced to liquidate all assets. And then came 2020. 2020 was a bad year for Newark. Just before the obvious thing that will anger someone no matter what I say, Newark and Heath were hit by a very different disaster. Floods. Heath in particular was hit pretty badly, with multiple residents forced to relocate or evacuate. Fortunately, Indian Mound Mall opened its doors to shelter those displaced by the floods. The mall did make it through 2020 swinging though, still maintaining a tenant roster and even managing to refill the food court partially, which had its own saga of emptying out, which I mentioned briefly before. The mall also attracted a trampoline park to fill in the old Elder-Beerman space, while a disability center was set up near Big Sandy, marking this mall's entrance into mixed use. Going forward, it appears that Indian Mound Mall stands a fighting chance at adapting to changing times. May this mall's future be bright, and may they rip up the carpet someday. Ew. I would have loved to see the original tile work of the mall's floors, even if that maroon and white color scheme would be seen as tacky nowadays. Although personally, I think the mall would have done far better if it went for a stronger theme. I just can't get past all the dull gray carpet and the all-white ceilings. I am no designer or architect, but surely we could do something a little more creative than carpet and white, can we? One thing I have noticed that's interesting about Newark is that it's not very close to the interstate at all. Oh sure, there's 3 exits for Newark, including a dedicated park-low, but it's at least a 10-minute drive to the mall alone, even via the most direct route, and Newark itself is another 10 minutes out. That said, however, Newark is a solid town, and its next-door neighbor Heath isn't doing bad either. Their population is growing. Even with competition in Columbus, this mall has an audience, and management should pay attention to that audience. Now, there is a good chance that management is already on top of this as they move closer to mixed use, between a family fun center in the form of a trampoline park, as well as maintaining a movie theater, while a church sits in near the Big Sandy. Add on a performing arts studio and an influx of small businesses, and it looks like this mall is on track to becoming a real community mall. I've said it before, and I'll say it one more time as we head out. May this mall's future be bright. But enough about me. What do you think about this mall? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for having me, Newark and Heath. And until next time, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Indian Mound Mall farewell, and good luck in this mad, mad, mad world. Okay, I know the mall is actually located in Heath, Ohio, but Newark jumped out at me at first.